Have you ever really thought about the plumbing inside your body? We kind of imagine it as this perfectly designed system that's just fixed. But what if I told you that your aorta, the biggest, most important artery you have, can sometimes take these really strange detours? Like, it can actually form a complete ring around your windpipe. It's a wild anatomical puzzle, and all the clues to solving it are hidden in our very first moments of life. Okay, let's get into it.
So let's just start with that central mystery. How is it even possible for the main superhighway of your circulatory system to literally wrap around your trachea? I mean, it sounds like a massive design flaw, right? But it's a real thing, a documented condition people can be born with. And the answer reveals something just incredible about how we're all built. And you might be thinking this is some super rare one-in-a-million fluke, but it's not quite that simple. As you can see, there are a few different arrangements. Most of us have what's called a left aortic arch. That's the typical setup. But some people have a right arch, or that double arch we talked about. The key thing to realize is that these aren't mistakes. They're just different outcomes from the exact same developmental playbook. To understand how that's possible, we need to go back in time.
Yeah, we've got to rewind the clock all the way back to the first few weeks of life as an embryo. Long before our organs look anything like they're supposed to, our body lays down this temporary, totally symmetrical scaffolding for all our major blood vessels. This image here gives you a really good sense of that early stage. What you're looking at is the raw material. The complex, lopsided circulatory system we have as adults, well, it starts out looking like this: simple, elegant, and perfectly symmetrical. It's a temporary blueprint that's about to get a major renovation.
So the key parts of this blueprint are called the aortic arches. See, as an embryo, we don't just have one arch, we have 6 pairs of them. They create this amazing basket-like structure that connects the big arteries running down our front and back. The best way to think about it is not as permanent plumbing, but more like a set of temporary pipes that can be rerouted or removed as needed.
Okay, so how do we get from that symmetrical basket to our one single aorta? The secret is subtraction. The body starts with way more than it needs and then just gets rid of the extra parts. As you can see here, the first, second, and fifth pairs of arches are the first to go. They just regress. They wither away and disappear. Then, a very careful pruning process starts on what's left, carving out that final, efficient pathway for our blood to flow.
And this whole process of pruning, this is where things get really, really interesting. Because understanding how it can go a little differently is the key to solving our entire puzzle. And it all boils down to one brilliantly simple idea.
What's so cool is how doctors figure all this out. They use this mental tool, a concept developed by a pathologist named Jesse Edwards. And as the source says, his idea of a hypothetical double aortic arch is basically the master key that explains almost all of these different variations.
The absolute genius of this Edwards model is this. Instead of trying to track a complicated process of removal, he just said, hold on. What if we just imagine a starting point where both a right and a left arch are fully formed at the same time? This hypothetical double arch becomes the master blueprint, and from that one single picture, you can create every single possible outcome, normal or not, just by deciding which pieces to erase.
Okay, so we have our master key. Let's actually use it and unlock those puzzles we started with. We're about to see how this one simple idea explains everything, from the normal anatomy to that rare vascular ring.
Let's watch this in action. On the left, you see the normal outcome. We start with our double arch blueprint, and the body just prunes away the fourth arch on the right side. And that's it. We're left with the standard left aortic arch. Simple, right? But what if the body prunes away the left side instead? Well, as you can see on the right, now the right arch is the one that sticks around, creating a right aortic arch. It's the same blueprint, just a different pruning choice.
So here it is, the big reveal. What happens if that pruning process is, well, incomplete? What if neither the left nor the right arch fully goes away? You get what you started with, a double aortic arch. And that is what creates the vascular ring, the complete circle around the trachea and esophagus. So the mystery is solved. It's not some strange, abnormal growth. It's just a leftover piece of our original embryonic scaffold.
Now, this whole idea of leftover embryonic parts isn't just theoretical. It has very real, very common clinical consequences. Let's look at one of the most common examples, a condition that comes from another piece of fetal plumbing that sometimes just forgets to go away.
I want you to meet the ductus arteriosus. This little vessel is another relic of our original aortic arch system. Specifically, it develops from the 6th arch, and in a fetus, it's a critical shortcut between the pulmonary artery and the aorta.
Before birth, this vessel is an absolute lifesaver. A fetus gets all its oxygen from the placenta, not its own lungs. So the ductus arteriosus lets blood basically bypass the lungs and go straight out to the body. But the moment a baby takes its first breath, this helpful shortcut instantly becomes a big problem. If it stays open, oxygen-rich blood from the aorta gets dumped right back into the pulmonary artery, flooding the poor baby's lungs with way too much blood.
Normally, this vessel slams shut within hours or days of birth, but when it doesn't, it's called a patent ductus arteriosus, and patent just means open. So what does this actually mean for a newborn baby?
A large PDA creates this whole cascade of problems, and they all stem from that one leak. A doctor can hear the turbulent blood flow as a very distinct sound. It's often called a machinery-like murmur. And because blood is constantly leaking out of the aorta, the resting pressure in the system drops. This creates a really big gap between the high and low blood pressure numbers. All of this puts a huge strain on the baby. Their lungs get flooded, making breathing hard, and their heart has to work overtime, which causes them to get tired and sweaty, especially when they're trying to eat.
But here's the amazing part. Because we understand the mechanism, we know that certain hormones keep this vessel open in the womb. We actually have a targeted treatment. For preemies, a medication called Indomethacin can block those hormones. It's like sending a signal to that leftover embryonic vessel, telling it, hey, it's time to finally close up shop, often fixing the whole problem without any need for surgery.
So, from vascular rings to newborn heart conditions, there's a clear thread connecting all of this. Understanding our embryonic blueprint isn't just some boring textbook exercise. It is fundamental to understanding our own health.
And this really is the key takeaway. What we call anomalies or birth defects, they aren't really mistakes in the system. They are simply variations. They're just different results from that incredibly complex and elegant process of building a body from a symmetrical blueprint.
For doctors, this knowledge is power. When they see an unusual bit of anatomy, they're not just seeing some random error. They can trace it all the way back to that embryonic blueprint and understand the logical step-by-step process that led to it. It provides this deep, beautiful logic that's absolutely essential for figuring out what's going on and how to help.
Our bodies are living, breathing records of our own development. They carry the echoes of a blueprint that we all once shared, and it's a powerful reminder of our common origin. It leaves you with this fascinating question. What other secrets of our incredible journey from a single cell are still hidden right here in our own anatomy?